Welcome to Monster Chats, presented by Monster VoIP, where we share the tools, methods, and best practices that business leaders use to build new connections, strengthen relationships, and impact sales in organizations of all shapes and sizes. If you have any questions that come up during today's episode, please text them to 424-378-6966. Please welcome the founder of Monster VoIP, your host, Colin Mitchell.
On today's episode, I'm going to be talking with Stephanie Martinez-James. Stephanie and I are going to be talking about sales, manifestation, focus, and confidence building. I'm Colin Mitchell, the host of Monster Chats and the founder of Monster VoIP. A broke aspiring actress turned top sales performer. Stephanie owns her success in sales to the power of manifestation, yoga, and meditation. She is now starting her own company, Latina Sales Coach, with a mission to help 1 million Latinas double their income. Stephanie, welcome to Monster Chats.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, you have quite the mission there to help 1 million Latinas. How did you come up with that number? That's such a huge goal.
You know what? I've always been just always tend to go a way higher than my imagination can even, think possibly. And I think that's just a lot because in sales, I've always tended to, hit high numbers. And most of the time it's because I set these outrageous goals for myself. And that my husband helps me a lot with. He's always like, that's too low. Go higher, go higher. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think all the good entrepreneurs tend to set the bar really high. The problem with a lot of us is we get there and they're like, okay, that's not enough. Now let's move the bar.
Yeah, that I've experienced that. And it's taken me a lot to be okay with, you hit this mark and now maybe it doesn't necessarily mean you have to, keep that going up. Maybe now it's time to shift. And that's basically why I'm doing this, to now help other women.
Awesome. All right, Stephanie. So tell me, let's just jump right into your story. Tell us, where did you grow up? How did you, what path did you go down as a career and how, how that played out and then how you got into, starting your current company?
Sure. So I'm originally from Arizona. It's a very small town. It's called Paulden, Arizona. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's I don't even know. The population is just very small, less than a few, maybe 5,000 people. If that, I'm probably wrong, is probably less. So very small town, very conservative town. It was mostly Caucasians and Hispanics, my family being one of the Hispanic families. So for me, I always had that little just voice inside me that told me that I was going to do more. I was meant for more. And my parents probably thought I was crazy. I would always tell them, I promise this is not it. There's more to life. There's more out there. And then I ended up graduating high school pretty quickly because all I wanted to do was get out. I skipped most of the traditional high school, going out, school activities to work. I actually, I don't know if I can say this, but I got a fake ID when I was 14 because I wanted to work so bad. So I got ID. I started working at Pizza Hut, my first job ever. I worked there for 4 years throughout high school, graduated high school, and then I got a job as a dental assistant because my older sister was a dental assistant to save up some money and move. So then from there, I was 19, moved to San Diego. I originally wanted to come to LA, but I knew that it was very expensive. I knew that it was very competitive to come out here by myself. So we had friends in San Diego, moved there, did a little bit of acting, modeling jobs, hosting kind of stuff to get my feet wet. Eventually I started driving up to LA for more auditions. So it was just the commute was getting too much. So then fast forward, moved to LA, became a struggling actress, I call it. And I struggled for a while, for about maybe 5 years. I was working as a waitress part-time, trying to pursue my acting career. And I had fun. It was an experience, but the reality is that Hollywood also has a very dark side to it. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of negatives that come with it. And for me, it was just too many negatives. It wasn't worth it anymore. I was going down the wrong path. I was associating myself with people that had these ambitious artistic dreams, but that's all that they had. So I just felt like I was getting older and I wasn't doing anything for myself. And I don't know. I wanted to try something different. For a long time, I didn't want to give up because I felt like I was giving up on my dream and I was throwing in the towel. I didn't want to disappoint anyone, but I guess the universe kind of just did it for me because I eventually just got really sick and tired of it, quit my waitressing job. I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I need to make real money. And then I randomly just found a job ad on Facebook about sales, talking about how you could make, $100,000, but there was really no limit to what you would make. It was dependent on your performance and what you put in. And that's something that I think that I've always push myself, that if there's something I can bet on, it's myself. And I know that I will work hard to make it happen. So I stumbled upon this sales job. It was for student loan debt consolidation, basically just more like consulting, like helping people enroll into these government funded programs. But it was still sales in a way because you were, helping help selling that service to them. So yeah, I started.
All right, so let's stop there for a second before we get into more of the nitty gritty of your sales career. So one thing that really stood out to me is, wow, most kids are probably getting fake IDs so they can go out drinking or buying cigarettes or something, right? But you were getting a fake ID so that you could get a job, which is amazing. It really shows a lot of how determined you were to do something different. And then just talk to me a little bit. So how long did you go down the acting career, and then how long before you just really got frustrated with that industry and decided you needed to do something different?
It was probably, I would say it was probably a good solid 4 years or so, because I got to LA when I was about 21. I was about to turn 20. And then I was in that industry until about 24, 25. Yeah, right about 24. So about 4 years. 4 years is how long I did it. And then, like I said, I decided I didn't want to do it anymore.
Looks like we lost video.
We what?
We lost your video. Oh, there you are.
Oh.
Okay. No worries. They'll be able to fix it.
Okay.
Okay. So then you took your first sales job. Tell me about that environment. Is it like call center? Are you what type of training did you get? What were some of the challenges in that?
Sure.
Talk to me about that.
And you know what? I will say something that I forgot that I think is very important. And this is when I really realized what sales even was. So in the middle of my acting, career, I actually took a job as an opener for insurance sales. So basically I just took it because I was always looking for these flexible jobs that would give me time off, to go to my audition. So I didn't even think about it. I was like, okay, they pay you $10 an hour, whatever, phone calls, no big deal. So I did that for a few months, and then the company went under. I don't know what they were doing. So I was doing opening for, all the sales reps were men. And then their job was to sell insurance lead to insurance sales agents. All I remember was that all of the girls were the openers. Okay. And we were good. We are transferring people over like crazy. And the guys were the closers, and they were making a lot of money. And I didn't speak up, but I just observed, and I was like, and at the time I didn't really care that much to be in sales, but I remember observing and seeing damn, what are they doing, and why, how are they making this much money? I could do what they do. And that was my really first kind of small taste into what sales was, just because I observed that atmosphere of them closing a deal and ringing a bell and, bragging about how much money they were making or whatever. But I do remember that all the women were openers. There were no closers that were women. So that was the first time. And then I went 3 years, being a server before I finally decided to go into the full-time, real job. And it wasn't necessarily that I was looking for just a sales job. But the funny thing is that I started visualizing and just started to make changes because I realized that the acting world was only going to, me personally, I have a lot of respect for people that do it, but me personally, I just felt like it wasn't what I was meant to do anymore. So I started visualizing myself in a job. I was wearing a blazer in my vision. I was wearing heels. I was like in a business attire, which I never really dressed like before. And I was making a lot of money. I didn't know how I was doing it, but I was just in charge, for once of how much money I was making. And, now I realize that was sales for me. That opportunity was sales.
Okay. So talk to me, the visualization, where did you pick that up? Okay.
So growing up, I was very, very, very pessimistic. I was probably one of the most pessimistic people that I knew. And a lot of it was just passed down from my family. Other reasons were because just traumatic things that I went through that caused me to have that negative outlook on life and almost always expect bad things to happen. But then there was another side of me that was like that little bit of hope that like kept me going and was like, there's more to this isn't it, and that kind of little spark always kept me going. That I would say that I probably got from my mom, because my mom has always been optimistic regardless of the conditions. And then I had a friend that was very dear to me. She came into my life for about 6 months, not that long. We became very close, and she introduced me to spirituality, meditation, stuff like that, just because I observed it. She didn't really push it on me, but I just observed it in her life. And she was struggling a lot. She actually ended up committing suicide. And that that was probably it was interesting because that was the biggest sign to me that she came to me for a reason to introduce that to me. And when she left, I almost felt like I wanted to figure it out. I wanted to figure out like what it was she was talking about, because one of the last things that she said to me was that the universe always has your back. And I didn't really think about it that much at the time, but I was like, things will work out. But then I explored more, I looked into it more deeply, and I realized that there was a whole nother world out there that I was not living in the real world. I was living in my mind and living in all the negative things that had happened to me. And my husband, actually, I met him at my first sales job. He was my sales manager, and he ended up being my soulmate, just amazing. And he got me into Kundalini yoga, which then took that curiosity one step further. And Kundalini yoga, I don't know, have you tried it before?
No, I have not.
It is amazing. It is life-changing. And obviously right now it's a little bit difficult because you can't go to, the yoga studio. But we went religiously for some time. And I'm telling you, the most impactful and biggest changes that have happened in my life came from a span of about maybe a few months just by doing this yoga, because it basically like focuses on your opening up your chakras and the energy that's stored, the blockage. And that was what really woke me up. And it really, I haven't been the same since. So.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So let's go back to a few things here. So sounds like you had, some traumatic things that maybe happened growing up, and you found a way to stay positive. Maybe just with the hope of there being a better way of living, or a better life for you, which is incredible. I too had, not the greatest childhood growing up, and I just wanted a better life. And that's kind of what's motivated me. And mindfulness is a big part of my life as well. And I think that, for like the entrepreneurs listening and things like that, it's really important that like a lot of the personal work that's done is really what helps us be better professionally and overall. And it sounds like that's what's been your story as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very true. I mean, I carry it with me, and I use it as fuel to get me to where I wanted to be. And I've realized also now too, that for me personally, there is not really a separation between work and my life, because for me, work is my life. I love what I do. By day, I work as an executive account manager for a SaaS marketing company. I was actually one of the first 4 that started up that company. And, we built it from the ground up. And, now that I've done that and put, everything that I do, what I'm trying to say is I put my heart and soul into it, because I have a direct effect on how well it can go or how bad it can go. And it doesn't mean that it's always going to go well from the start. I still have these days where I am not as positive as I could be, or I'm not as, productive as I could be. But I think the most important part is just remembering why you're doing this. And for me, it's a combination of things. It's helping, my family. I want to help my family dearly. I have 3 sisters. My parents, I want to help them retire soon. Now with the mission, the whole mission, yes, it is to help 1 million Latinas double their income. But more than anything, the vision is that one day, 1 million Latinas will pull resources that will make economic, political, and climatic changes that improve the world for all people. So how can we do that? Resources, we need money, we need income, we need to make more money in order to help other people. And I'm not talking about, just Latinas. I do want to help my people because I understand them, and there's a cultural thing there, but I want to help everyone regardless of where they come from. So I think the most important thing is using that pain sometimes as fuel. And it's okay. Sometimes I still have days where these things come back and I'm still working on it. I'm still healing through a lot of things. And I think most people, it's a never ending journey, So for me, I try to just put that into everything I do. Because I think, especially with everything going on and all the craziness right now, people want to see the connection behind businesses and behind brands. They don't want to see, you know what I mean? A lot of people put up a facade, and that's just not reality. And that's just not who I want to be either, because I feel that my struggle can help a lot of people too, because, I've been there and I'm still there, I'm still growing and learning.
Oh yeah, I think it's incredible, that you're sharing your story. People can benefit from that. People can relate and identify with you by showing up as your authentic self, right? And I could just feel your passion about your mission of helping, Latina women. And, I want to just kind of find out, when did you start Latina Sales Coach? How many women have you helped thus far? And what are the goals that you guys have?
Sure. So, I'll be honest, I had an idea for my own business probably about 4 years ago. But as many people do, you sit on it, you doubt it, you think about all the reasons why it won't go right. And I guess it also comes down to timing, it wasn't the right timing. I had faced a lot of resistance when doing this, actually, because I've been away from social media for 4 years. Part of what I did a few years ago to really focus is just completely vanished from the internet. I removed all distractions. I just didn't want. I wanted a fresh start. So for me, doing this actually has been going out of my comfort zone, and this actually happened because I was on a Zoom call with a bunch of women. Grant Cardone's wife, Elena Cardone, she does these weekly 10X Lady networking calls. So I've always liked Grant Cardone because I actually learned from him in sales. He's a beast in sales. And then his wife, you have to imagine that behind, like they say, behind every great man is a great woman. And she definitely is. She's a beast. So I jumped on one of these calls and she was taking questions, and I had a question and I said, hey, I've been thinking about I want to help other women. I've been away from social media for a while, and I'm trying to figure out, should I keep focused on what I'm doing, build my own income, get to the point where I have more to help more women, or, like, what should I do? I just wanted advice. And the first thing she told me was, I don't know what your excuse has been for not being on social media, but how do you expect to help other people if they don't even know who you are? How are you going to influence other women if they, like, you're nowhere, So I was like, shit, like, she's right. So then I talked to my husband a few weeks later, and then I was like, I have to do it. Like, I have to do it. Like, this pandemic, working from home, it's given me an opportunity. I have to jump on it. And I knew it, but you always tend to, like I said, like, doubt it and like try to quiet that voice. But I knew it in my gut. I knew that it was time. So yeah, so here we are now. Just started. I think we actually launched like on my birthday, April 25th. We launched. And, like I said, the mission is to help 1 million Latinas double their income. So by means of sales coaching, I'm working on an online course right now, but also I really plan on bringing in all of the aspects of sales, because sales isn't just, a job title or a career. Sales is every day, every moment. You have to sell yourself on almost all the hard stuff you don't want to do. You have to sell your spouse and believing in you. You have to, the people at restaurants or Starbucks are upselling you to add a, extra latte or whatever, so sales is, I think, a skill that has helped me tremendously, not just in work, but just in general, my confidence level, the way that I can communicate with people. And I think that bringing that into this, sales coaching program will really help. For example, like manifestation, meditation, money management, all these different things, basically. I mean, there's so much to it, really. And I'll be honest, like I said, we're just getting started. My husband is helping me a lot on this, but I mean, I'm excited. I mean, I've already talked to, I have a private Facebook group right now. We've had it for like a week or maybe a little bit more, and we're like at maybe like 120 members. We started doing some we started doing like some email campaigns and stuff like that. So we're just dabbling into it, but so far the response has been pretty well. And I'm confident, but I knew that it would do pretty well. Why? Because I mean, Latinas, and not just Latinas, but women of color, we know the pay gap that there is. We know that there's more opportunity, but there's hardly anyone out there. There's some young Latina influencers that are online, but most of them are basically there's a gap, is what I'm saying. There's a gap that I'm trying to fill, that I'm going to fill to help other women. Because when I started my career, I learned from Grant Cardone, and he's great, but I mean, I would have loved to have a Latina woman that went through these, similar struggles, that could help me, because I think it's so important to learn from other women, and especially culturally, you have that connection.
Wow. That's very exciting. I can't believe you already have that many people in the group and you're just getting started.
Yeah.
I can see this as being a huge success. We're just going to take a quick break to tell you a little bit about what we do here at Monster VoIP. We started Monster VoIP, frankly, because we were tired of getting gouged on our business phone bill and getting dropped calls all the time. Today, we serve over 6,000 customers, and we're passionate about saving businesses money and giving them the features that they need in a modern business tech stack. You can text info to 424-378-6966 to learn more. Stephanie, it's been fantastic having you on the show. Really enjoyed learning more about your story and your mission and the passion that you have behind it. Before I let you go, please tell people where they can connect with you online and where they can learn more about what you're doing.
Sure. So the best place to visit is www.latinasalescoach.com. Latina Sales Coach amongst all platforms. And also on LinkedIn, you can find me under Stephanie Martinez-James. And I look forward to seeing everyone there. Thanks for having me, Colin. This is my first podcast, so I'm not going to lie, a little nervous.
Oh, you did great. You did fantastic. If you are listening to the podcast, please subscribe, share with your friends. We're listening for your feedback. The show is all about you.
Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Monster Chats, presented by Monster VoIP, where we share the tools, methods, and best practices that business leaders use to build new connections, strengthen relationships, and impact sales in organizations of all shapes and sizes. If you have any questions from today's show and want to reach us directly, please text your question to 424-378-6966.